2 days ago, I made a video explaining how Unity is going to start charging developers when players install their games, and what my opinion on that was as the head of a small game studio. I'm not gonna lie, I thought that by now Unity would have rolled back this decision, but they have unfortunately doubled down. So because it seems that this is actually going to happen, I'm going to go over 3 ways that Unity can now bankrupt your favorite game studio. Yeah, I know it's pretty crazy, but let's go through the examples. So firstly, if you're a game studio that doesn't like advertising to children, Unity can now bankrupt you. It sounds like a joke, but this user on Reddit showed the install and revenue numbers of one of their studio's games, and they have 100 million downloads with $1 million in revenue. Apparently, they make mobile games for kids, but they don't have any ads because they think it's unethical, and the reasons for that are pretty clear. But because they don't run ads on their game, the revenue number per download is really low. They make money mostly through in-app purchases, and obviously not everybody buys these. So the problem is, they make less money per install than Unity now charges with these insane install fees. Clearly the studio is incredibly successful, but even then, this change would literally make their altruistic business model impossible. As an outsider to me, it seems like Unity is essentially forcing mobile game companies to adopt ads even if they don't want to, which is pretty insane in my opinion. So the second example, it's really extreme, but a producer at Facepunch, the team that makes Rust, tweeted out that some members of the Rust community have gotten reinstall scripts working. So basically it's like a script that you can just reinstall and uninstall and reinstall and uninstall the game multiple times, and the idea is that the developer gets charged for every single install. It sounds like you can just really solve this easily because each reinstall has the same hardware ID, right? Well, this method that specifically the Rust community developed and was working 1 day after the Unity announcement already bypasses that. And I'm sure with a VPN, you could take it even further so that Unity couldn't even tell the geographical location of that install. So if somehow a developer makes someone angry, they could theoretically organize a mass reinstall campaign and financially burden you to an extent that is impossible with any other engine. So the third way Unity could bankrupt a developer is if you end up with a Game Pass, Apple Arcade, or some sort of similar subscription deal. So another Crab's Treasure is an upcoming game from Aggro Crab Games, and they have an Xbox Game Pass deal. And most developers would be really happy about this since Xbox pays you a good amount of money when you put your game on Game Pass, and on top of that you get all the marketing buzz and everything. The issue is that because Game Pass gets you so many downloads, but you get paid an amount that results in a low amount of revenue per download, there are scenarios where you would end up paying Unity more for accepting a Game Pass deal than what you got from Xbox for accepting the deal. And this is what Nick Kaman, the studio head at Aggro Crab, is worried about. They posted about how they had a call with Unity, and I'm not going to read the post out loud, but they're going to be on screen. But in short, Unity says things like, we obviously don't want these fees to financially ruin a studio, and how they would work with developers on a case-by-case basis to stop situations like this from bankrupting a game studio. The problem is that there seems to be no basis in like a terms of service or something for such a statement. They can take things on a case-by-case basis, but those are exceptions. What if for whatever reason they don't make an exception for you and you end up having to brunt these costs? Then you're in big trouble. And given how they've pulled the rug under so many developers recently, trusting Unity is not an easy thing to do right now. So do I think that Unity is actually going to bankrupt developers? Honestly, probably not. It would be an absolute PR disaster, the scale of which would be even worse than the disaster of this announcement. They probably will take things on a case-by-case basis, but that's a real problem as well. When you run a game studio, you want to be able to predict your costs, and this pricing change goes directly against that. Overall, I think that this whole situation has shown how you can't really trust Unity to stick to their word, and as someone who has made games exclusively in Unity for the past 3 years, it doesn't give me much faith in the engine, and honestly more so the company. When I started making games 8 years ago, I started with GameMaker, and while I think it's a good engine, I think Unity is a piece of tech that is truly amazing for making games. And that's why I chose it. It's unfortunate that it's come to this, but for our future 3D games, for our studio, we're going to be using Unreal Engine, and for any potential 2D games, we'll probably be using Godot. And just as a little side thing, we've been developing our next big RPG for the past few months, and at first, we were making it in Unity, which is the version that you can see on screen right now, but when this news broke, we decided to move it to Unreal. Unity just poses too many risks. Fortunately for us, we did very little in-engine work for this, since most of the development so far has been the creation of art and music and doing pre-production design and story stuff, but many devs don't have the same luxury, and they have to stick to their multi-year Unity projects. I think this is going to be a tough time for many developers, and players are going to feel it too, because if this change goes through, you're going to see less games with more consumer-friendly business models, like that mobile game for kids without ads, and less choice is bad for everyone. So the game that's been playing in the background of the video is our latest game, Soulstalker, and if you've enjoyed this video, make sure to get it. The link to the Steam page is in the description. It only costs $5, and if you want to support our small game studio in these tough times, we'd super appreciate it. And that's it for this video, and I'll see you all next time.